everybody, and welcome to Adobe Live Education Edition. We are so excited to see you all here today. I'm Shel McConville. I'm an Adobe Community Program Manager on our education team. But before I was at Adobe, I was actually an elementary school teacher, as I'm sure we've got a few out here watching today. And so you can bet I'm super excited to be here with my amazing guest, one of my most favorite people I've ever seen on social media. And we actually just met for the very first time today, but I'm so excited. And I'm going to pass it over to her to let her introduce herself. But oh my gosh, you guys are in for a treat.
All right. Thank you so much, Shell. Hi, besties. I am Lauren Cella. You might know me from social media as the Gen Z history teacher. Not actually Gen Z. I'm a millennial, if you couldn't tell. But actually, in real life, I am a history teacher in the classroom. So I'm so excited to be here and talk about history and look at some of these exciting things that we have coming up on Adobe Express for education. Maybe things that you can use on your own or in your classroom, or if anyone's joining us from their classroom. We're so excited to have you all here.
I love it. And everyone, if you are not following Lauren on all the socials, you are totally missing out. She's going to like make you laugh and inspire you and give you all kinds of great ideas. And also, genuinely, I have a 12-year-old at home and she's obsessed with Lauren's channel because she actually can learn history and not get bored. She's amazing. So make sure you follow her. She's the absolute best. Lauren, do you want to tell us a little bit about why we look so unbelievably cool today?
Thank you, Shell. Yes, so I did my channel, like you said, is all about teaching history, but kind of in a fun way, like in Gen Z slang, and that's what Adobe Express is, and that is what we are doing today. So trying to do history, but make it fun. So I am dressed. I don't know if anybody can tell, but I am Anne Boleyn, and that is the second wife of King Henry VIII of England. So she's kind of the most scandalous of his six wives. She is the one that unfortunately was beheaded. Yes, because she wasn't able to give our loser king a son, and she only had a daughter, but in the end, the joke was on him because that daughter turned out to be Elizabeth I, who was one of the greatest queens that England has ever had. So I will defend Anne Boleyn until the day I die. Henry did not deserve her. He didn't deserve any of them, to be honest.
I love that. Thank you. And also, I love it that we're going to be getting a history lesson. I feel like this whole entire stream, which is so fun. And everyone, I'm guessing there's some people who could guess what I was trying to emulate. But my alter ego for the day is Amelia Earhart, who totally broke barriers as the very first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. Super inspiring, amazing woman. And she was also a huge advocate for women's equality, which we love. We love a girl's girl, I think, in a lot of ways. So, Lauren, should we get started and start having fun?
Yeah, so what are we getting into today, Shell?
So, over the next 50 minutes or so, we're going to show you all lots of ways that you can, as we've been calling it, revolutionize your history class or your history lesson. We're going to talk about interactive timelines. We're going to talk about digital newspapers, ways you could make like documentary trailers, make some posters, some infographics, and I can also show you where we can find social studies specific templates, all tucked into Adobe Express and ready for you to use.
I'm so excited.
Dude, me too. It's going to be amazing. So let's get started with our very first activity. Let's look at some interactive timelines. Lauren, why timelines? Why is that important?
Oh, Shell, I love a good timeline. I'm a history teacher. I think it's so important for students to visualize the history because sometimes some of these things were a long time ago, and we have to kind of know where we are and where we're going, understand cause and effect. It's actually in the state standards that kids need to be understanding timelines and things like that. So, especially for students who maybe are more visual, or I'm thinking of also students that are like maybe language learners, this a visual of a timeline is just so great for helping them really grasp the concept of history.
I love that. Thank you, Lauren. And I also have to give some shout outs to our chat. I see Jessica's in the chat and Michael's in the chat as always. So great to see you guys. I also see Tracy's in the chat. Hello, Tracy. Oh, and Lauren, our friend Alfredo Silva says Lauren's videos are spot on and engaging. She gets it.
Oh my gosh, I actually can say thank you, chat, like unironically, like actually. I'm a streamer now. Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This is so much fun.
We love it. Okay, so I'm going to actually show everyone like a few ways that you can find some really cool templates. So the first and like most obvious way that I feel like a lot of people will come into Express and they're like, oh, I want to make a timeline. So I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to type in timeline. We'll see what
Okay.
happens. See what we find. Okay. So
Wow.
as I scroll down, we've got a whole bunch here that we can play with. Any of them, let me see. I'm going to hit view all. Anything like calling your name,
Well,
Lauren?
first of all, I love that we don't have to start from scratch. So this is like Adobe Express. It doesn't require any like design experience. Like even younger kids, I think, could get into this. So this is great. I also think some of them are kind of set up for like vertical viewing on a phone if they're editing that way. Some of them are more horizontal, and you can customize all of these. I'm kind of liking, well, what is the timeline for?
Ooh, why don't you pick? You
That's a
are
good.
our history guru, you know.
Okay. So that because that could change it. So I think if we're gonna do, let's do the American Revolution.
Ooh, okay.
So we're kind of in the 1700s. So let's kind of go with maybe this one that's like brown.
This one,
Yeah, yeah. I think that kind of fits with the vibe of the
I like
era.
it.
Hmm.
I love it. All right. So it sounds like the first thing we need to do is make this not about World War One. That would be
Okay.
step one here. Okay. So
I
key
mean, it's
events of
always a good time to learn about World War One. But yeah, so you just change. Okay.
super easy. Just click into it. Whenever you click on something in Express, you automatically or automagically, as we often say, uh, can edit that thing that you click, which is makes it super easy.
And everything saves right away.
It does. That's my favorite part. Is like it's got this little cloud up here. It's saving all the time. And if for some reason it hasn't saved before you leave, it's gonna tell you, wait, we didn't save yet. So there's no losing all of your stuff, which is a nice plus.
So cool.
I love it. So if we're building a timeline here, how do we want to do this, Lauren? What do you think? We need some like
We need some events.
we need some events.
Okay, well, I would say, I mean, you could really start this so at any point, but I would say what really kind of started us off was the Stamp Act. That is what really got those colonists fired up. That was one of the first taxes that King George III put against the colonists. And in his mind, King George III thought that we should have to pay more taxes because England had defended us during the previous 7 Years' War. So in their mind, they were like, hey, we spent all this money defending you. You should pay the bill. And it wasn't necessarily that the colonists like were against paying taxes, like they weren't anarchists or anything like that. Like they knew they had to pay taxes, death and taxes were certain. It was the fact that they didn't have any representation. So like obviously the king at this point he had to kind of deal with parliament and he'd be like, okay, parliament, like who wants to do tax who wants to raise taxes on us? Like nobody. And he's like, oh, who wants to raise taxes on the Americans? Oh yeah, like duh. So that just kind of kept happening over and over and over. And this was really the first one was this stamp. And it wasn't just like stamps on like a letter. It was like every single piece of paper. So that particularly targeted, like the press for one, any type of like correspondence or group. So this was like on every single piece. It would be like the equivalent of having to pay like I don't know, like $2, $5, $10 for every text message that you sent. That would be kind of like the today's equivalent. You could think of like how mad that would make you.
Yeah, I can only imagine going back to 2005.
Do you remember when we had to pay for
I
text? Oh no.
do. Oh man, you had like
Oh,
you're
wait,
super limited.
millennial flashback.
I know, I
Yes.
know. Okay, so what year should we put for that? Or do you have a specific date?
1765.
I love it. Okay, here's a question, Lauren. Are you doing this by memory or do you have this in front of you? That's my
I have
curiosity.
some of the dates memorized. Some of them, not all of them.
I'm very impressed. Okay, so what would we put next? What do you think?
Let's see. We have one,
And we don't
two,
have to
three,
do all
four,
of
five.
these. The cool thing is everything is so editable and easy to change up. We could put more,
Let's
put
let's
less.
do the Boston Tea Party. That is a date that I have memorized because you can say, okay, this is really cringe, so just bear with go
I
with
love
it.
cringe.
The
Cringe is my favorite.
spilling the tea since 1773.
Okay, well, that actually is a great like memory
Right?
tip.
Right? You'll always remember because people kind of know 1776, like that's the date we remember. And like this was a little bit before that, and you're like, was it what year was it? 1773, spelling the T.
And there's not a Hamilton song about it, so I don't have that one memorized.
Yeah, there isn't. They mentioned it. They say like when we try to text our tea, imagine how frisky we're gonna get.
Yep.
They mention it, but they are in New York, not Boston. So Boston is really what started this whole thing. So yeah, this wasn't Alexander Hamilton. He was still pretty young over in New York. This was more like the Sons of Liberty, John Adams, Samuel Adams. They had some help from like Ben Franklin, Paul Revere. That was really like this group of people.
Just people we none of us have ever heard of, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we have next?
Okay, so after the Boston Tea Party, obviously, like the king was not happy about that. Because when the tea came over, they were like, we're not gonna pay for it, so we're just gonna dump it in the harbor. Like the equivalent, it was like that would be like millions of dollars today. And the king, instead of backing down, he was like, okay, I'm gonna do more. So he like puts up something called the Intolerable Acts, which is like taxed everything, and then that made them really mad. So in 1774, that's when the First Continental Congress met
Okay.
to talk about all of this. Because like they were like, Boston, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to start a war? Like, what's your problem? And they're like, yeah, we are, because like they're killing people, they're shooting people. And most of the states were like, okay, can we just like talk this out? This was like the first time really that the 13 colonies kind of met. They didn't think of themselves as one country. They were all kind of doing their own thing. So King George III actually kind of like brought us together when they were trying to figure out what to do with all of this stuff.
Absolutely wild. It's a wild time to be alive, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I have to call out chat. We've got cringe is memorable,
That's right.
which I so agree. That's why whenever I say really cringy things to my middle schooler, I hope she remembers them better.
Period.
And I hope it embarrasses her just a smidge. You know, that's the fun of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want us to spend all of our time on one thing because we could keep going and have a lot of fun, but I'm going to move us on.
Okay.
It's
And we
I,
could change the pictures too. Like
we
that's
could.
easy.
Let's swap it out. What do you think we could put here?
Let's do the Boston Tea Party. Is there a picture for that?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah, and then you could just keep going and end, like with the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, there's nothing. Okay, so we were gonna have to be a little bit more creative. Do you
What
are
about
you
like documents? So you could write like stamps or documents or harbor. Oh yeah.
a little on the modern side? What about like old documents? That could be cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
Okay, that's kind
That
of
especially for the Stamp Act because we talked about Oh, I
ooh,
love
and
that.
it automatically or automagically, right, kept it that same style that it was, the black and white.
Okay. Did you have to click it or drag it in or just clicked it and
So
it
I
just
just hit replace and then
amazing.
photos, and then I was able to search up. Super easy.
Very cool.
So
Oh
I'll zoom
yeah.
in so everybody can see that a little bit better. So
That's really cool.
super easy. I just hit replace photos and it could find all kinds of different things. And Lauren, I love how you were like, okay, they don't have that specific first thing that we looked for. They didn't have the Boston Tea Party, that nothing popped up,
Mhm.
but you were able to think of other things. And that's actually a really great skill for our students when they're trying to do things. Sometimes they're going to look for a photo of something and it's not the first thing that they think of. And they're like, I don't have anything. I have to go look it up online. But we don't want them to do that because who knows what they'll find on the internet, right? It's a crazy
Mhm.
place. But everything in Adobe Stock is safe for our students, which is so awesome. And I also love that this kind of makes them do a little bit more critical thinking when they have to come up with other ways to problem solve it and what else could tell your story other than just the title of the event, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we, like as teachers, we have like screen monitoring tools. So there's like a way that you could keep them just in Adobe Express and they have everything that they need.
I love that. So, one other thing I wanted to do before we moved on, even though the rest of this is not accurate, but we're going to pretend that it is. We're going to just be flexible today, even though I'm totally a perfectionist and never want to finish or I never want to stop something when it's not done. But I do want to quickly show it. not only do we make a cool timeline, but we could take it a step further and we could bring it to life. There's this button at the very top. Now, oops, I was going to zoom in on it before I clicked it, but that's not as exciting. So I've got animation is the button that I clicked on. And this actually is a cool button because I could go and animate each separate thing, or I could just do this, hit this button and animate all. So I'm going to choose popping because it's actually my favorite one. But it's going to think about it. And now it turned the whole thing into a movie.
Oh, it's animate all, so you don't have to like highlight and do. Oh, that was a lot faster than I thought it was gonna be.
Right? It's like speed of light. We love it. We love animating at the speed of light.
That's very
Okay.
cool.
Should we?
I still say it's popping because I'm a millennial. Nobody really says that anymore, but
It's popping.
I still say that.
They can pry that one away from me. Okay, so I'm going to hit that rainbow A up in the corner. If you've been to an Adobe Live with the education team before, you know that's what we call it. You hit the rainbow A and it always takes you back to our homepage. So let's move on. Maybe we stick with our same topic of the Boston Tea Party. Maybe we'll zoom in on like that specific moment.
Okay. I mean, that was like front page news, Shell. Like this news kind of spread like all around the world.
Lauren, is like you knew what we were going to do next. Crazy. It's like we talked about this and planned it or something. So our next thing that we're going to try out is we are actually going to be making a digital newspaper. And
So cool.
I'm going to show you guys a really cool way to find that. So we're going to go to templates. So this is the first way I showed you to find templates was we just typed it in at the top. This time I hit templates on the side. And this again, folks, if you are new to our live stream, that this is the education version of Adobe Express. There are two versions. There's a commercial version and a version that's specifically for educators and for students. That's the version that we're in, and that's why there's a bunch of school-focused templates. So for today, we are focusing on social studies. So I'm actually going to look at these filters here on the left. I'm going to hit subject and then select social studies.
Yeah, there we go.
And oh my gosh, look at that.
Ooh, I'm really
Front
liking
and
that
center.
one kind of like right there.
That's pretty amazing. And I think I'm going to stick with that one. I know we have other ones, but
There are so many.
There are, and new ones pop up all the time. So I'm going to hit customize template. And this made a brand new copy in my account. So if you were to assign this to your students, they're not going to be editing your copy. It's a brand new, fresh one. So looking at what we're making here, first thing we got to do, again, is we got to change this headline because main headline is not a vibe. So Lauren, imagine if you were going to actually write like a eye-catching headline for the Boston Tea Party. What would you say? Friends in chat, if you've got ideas, drop those in too.
Is this like a British point of view, right? Is this like a British paper or is this like an American patriot paper?
That's a really good point.
Because if it was a British paper, it'd probably say like, treasonous colonists like terrorize the harbor and destroy, right? But if it was like from the patriot point of view, it might say something like, Sons of Liberty defy King George III or something like that.
That's a really good point. And thinking about perspective on these kinds of assignments is super, super important when we're trying to decide how we want to assign it to our students. Maybe half the class does it from one perspective and half from another. That would be cool.
Absolutely. That's one of our standards too.
I love that. So yeah, we did a lot of that when I taught fourth grade. Lauren, I'm going to let you choose. Dealer's choice. Which perspective do you want to play with?
I'm going to say Sons of Liberty dump tea into Boston Harbor.
I like it.
Because I don't think they called it the Boston Tea Party like back then.
I can imagine that would not.
Right. They weren't like, hey, you guys going to the Boston Tea Party later? Like, that's not like what they would have said.
Oh my gosh. We have some great ideas in chat too that are amazing. We have toppling tea kettles and girl spill the tea.
Oh my gosh. I think that one's actually better.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to switch it.
No, stop.
That's amazing. Okay.
I love this.
We're being creative here.
I love, you know what? Honestly, like the literacy rate for women was getting higher at this time, and I would really love to see kind of like a feminist spin on this whole thing.
I love
Uh,
this.
oh, and we know the date. We know the date.
We
It's
do
to
know the date.
what's the date? You guys remember chat? Do you remember the date? It's spilling the tea since December 16th. What was the year?
Let me
Do you
see if
remember, Shell?
to, I remember. No, I don't.
1773, spilling the tea since 1773.
I love it. Okay. I've got that. And then we could move forward and start adding all kinds of things. Um, so we could write a whole paragraph here. If you want to write it, you can. Otherwise, I have a copy paste. But if you've got some ideas, I can
No,
transcribe.
let's just go with yours really quick because I
Okay.
want to see how this works.
So I wrote something up on a different page, and it is not going to be as funny as what you would have probably said, though. I will say that.
But that's cool because like you could have the kids do this like on a like on paper or on graphic organizer or something or like with their group and then they can, you know, transfer that work onto here as like their
Mhm.
final project.
Copy paste is a skill, right?
There it is.
And there we go. And I also love that if we wanted to get very newspapery, I could take all of this. And if I come over here, I can actually choose the different alignments
Okay. This is
and
so cool.
the like actual newspaper style of aligning, like the justified alignment
Mm-hmm.
is one of the options, which is so nice because
Shell, I don't know if you know this, but I majored in journalism in college.
I didn't know
And
that.
I did. And I was on the student newspaper at San Diego State, Go Aztecs. And we had to lay out the paper. And we actually, you know, used Adobe Illustrator.
I
And
love it.
this is so cool, though, because this is like a student friendly version. So even though, like, they're still getting like experience using all these different tools that they're going to see like more on like the more professional commercial versions when they get older. So I'm thinking like a kid who's really interested in journalism or graphic design. You know, they don't have to have like a subscription or anything. Like they can like really learn the interface of Adobe just by kind of playing around on here for free.
That's such a good point. And a lot of it looks really similar. Like,
It does.
so because yeah, if you use the other tools, then you know a lot of the icons are super similar or
Mm-hmm.
even the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, I think I'm gonna scoot this over. We're gonna do this a little bit differently. I'm switching up our template, and I'm actually gonna just straight up delete this one,
Okay.
and I'm gonna get a little fancy here and do a little AI.
Okay.
Bear with me because I have a very specific idea in mind of what I want our picture to be. So, again, to get to that, folks at home, I just hit media and then I went to generate image. And I can come back in here and I'm going to type in exactly what I want. So, I'm going to go really simple to start with, and then we can add more if we need to. So, I'm just going to say Boston Harbor with ships in 1773
Okay.
because I remembered this time. I'm very
Yes.
proud of myself. And then I can get a little bit more specific with the style that I want to do. So this time I'm going to do pencil drawing. I've played around with this a little bit, and sometimes it turns out looking like that more old timey.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a tricky thing, I think, is trying to figure out exactly
So this
how
is
to get the
oh
vibe.
my gosh. So you this is generative AI and this is the text to image tool. And this is so cool. And look, it's giving you like different iterations. And another thing I love about Adobe Express for Education is that um everything that the kids type in, if they type in anything that's like inappropriate, it will not populate. So you don't have to
Yep.
worry about that. That looks great. And I think that's kind of, you know, what the time period kind of what they obviously didn't really have photography, was not super a thing quite yet. So I think that is sort of what the picture would look like. All of the pictures of the Boston Tea Party I've seen have been sort of drawings like that that appeared in all the newspapers.
Although, you know, I am going to point out this one's kind of funny, and it would be really interesting to see if students could notice. Is I'm looking here, and there's something that is probably not there in 1776. We've got
Mm-hmm.
some like skyscrapers going on. Um,
Um, that's
Not so
true.
much.
And,
So
and but I mean that's part of it is like, AI is a tool. Like it doesn't replace human knowledge. It's just to
exactly,
get inspiration. And so I think, the best thing is, human knowledge plus AI.
absolutely. They can't. They go hand in hand. It's not
Hmm.
one or the other.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna move us on. We're gonna pause on our Girl Spill the Tea newspaper, which I'm obsessed with.
I know. I love that name. Shout out to the chat for coming up with that.
No, that's real solid. Okay, Lauren, what should we do next? What do you think?
I think we were gonna do a trailer.
Ooh, let's do it. Let's trailer it up. Um, so I actually have a topic for this one.
Okay.
I had a thought. Um,
Are we doing
so
a trailer or a poster?
either one, we can do whichever order, doesn't matter. What do you want to
Okay.
do first?
Let's do the video stuff last. So let's do the
Okay,
poster.
let's do a poster. I'm here
Okay.
for it.
All right.
That's the fun things. We can do whatever we want. We can go crazy. All right, so let's make a poster. I'm going to this time, let's see, how do I want to find a poster? I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to, not there. Yes, there. We're going to go there. So I hit educator resources down at the bottom. This is a great place to find all kinds of like starter activities for your class. We're going to look at these in a little bit. But for now, up here at the top, it says, what do you want to teach today? And I want to teach social studies. And this is going to have a whole bunch of, we've got some guided activities up here. And then if you scroll down, you get into a bunch of classroom templates specifically for social studies, which is pretty cool.
So these are kind of like built-in lesson plans as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this would be great. Just if you like had a sub or you wanted the kids to have like an independent day or you were hybrid learning or homeschooling.
I love it. And I'm actually going to go here to output and I'm going to choose poster specifically. And all right, we didn't get a lot to start with, but I think we can work with it. We also could just go with a poster in general and see if there's something that we like the outline or the vibe of.
These are so cool.
Yeah, we can let's play with this one. Let's check it out.
I love that.
Okay. Lauren, who are we going to make?
Well, I mean, I think just the template, I mean, we could do anybody, but it's Egyptian. Can we do Cleopatra?
Let's do it. I'm here
Okay,
for it. Okay. I think I spelled her name right.
you did.
Okay. Proud of myself. That was a good win for me today. All right. So this doesn't look like Cleopatra, Lauren. This is a problem
It
for us.
doesn't. It
This is a
doesn't. That
problem for us.
kind of looks like her dad.
So maybe we go over to generate image because I think that yep, I had an idea that this was going to be an AI piece. So if you were going to try and describe her, how might you do that?
Okay. Yeah, because you can't just say like you have to kind of give it's only as good as the prompt that you give it. The more specific
Exactly.
you are, like it's going to be better. So we could say like Egyptian young Egyptian queen on a throne in her palace with the pyramids behind her.
I love it. And is there a certain style we should go for?
I would say, oh, we could do like any style.
Any style. You can get creative. We can get crazy with it.
Could we do like in like a pop art style?
Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Pop art style.
I
Sometimes
just,
it chooses to listen and sometimes it chooses not to listen. So let's see what happens. I'm going to hit generate. Well, we can always, the fun thing with AI is we can always go back and try it again or delete it and look for a picture. Or digital art is so easy to change things up.
okay. I love,
These are all really cool.
oh my gosh. I love that one. These are all so good.
We've
Oh
got
my
some
goodness.
real cool
Yes.
vibes here. Pop art was a good call, Lauren. That's
Yeah.
rad.
I this looks amazing, and I love how in all these different versions, because we don't know exactly what she looks like. Like we know that she, had some Greek heritage, and but ancient Egypt was like extremely diverse. So we're not really sure. Like we know from all the accounts that she was like extremely beautiful and smart. We don't know exactly what she looks like, and all these girls look beautiful. So I love the variety that we're getting here.
I love it. And Lauren, okay, so I'm going to ask the history teacher question here. Why posters? Like, why would that be a helpful thing in a history classroom?
Because when you're in a classroom, like you obviously are going to have to do things like essays and tests, and they're very important for building literacy. But some kids need to have express their knowledge in a different way because there's so many kids that would love Cleopatra and understand all about ancient Egypt, but they're just not maybe the best at writing yet, or their reading level is not up to the standard of that textbook at that moment in time. And rather than just having them sit there and like not be able to do anything, you can, as a teacher, it's kind of our job to accommodate and say, okay, well, what's another way that they could show their knowledge? So, like being able to create this, and I think it also gives them, a sense of like ownership of their work. Even if they do kind of enjoy traditional tests, like having this as like an extension. I'm thinking like kids who kind of finish early. I'm thinking of kids who just like want to share and be more creative. Like something like this in social studies is awesome.
I love that. That's a really good point. Especially I always think, especially when I'm talking about AI, things like this, there's and sometimes, we want to give students these opportunities to be creative, but there's also kiddos who maybe drawing's not their thing, maybe painting's not their thing, or maybe we have some fine motor challenges and things like that. And this is a whole nother unlock for them, which is always a plus. Like the
Yeah.
more avenues that kids have to be creative, the better.
Yeah, there's just so much. I feel like this is so inclusive that like there's something here like every student at any ability could use.
I love that. Okay, so I gotta ask, we need some key stats for Cleopatra, Lauren.
Oh my goodness. Well, Cleopatra was, you can write Queen of Egypt, or she was the last Queen of Egypt.
See, I'm gonna zoom in here because I can't see what I'm doing. Okay. Last Queen of Egypt. Okay. What
Okay.
else?
And I think a lot of people know, there was a little bit of a love triangle between her and Caesar and Mark Antony. So she gets a lot of play for that, but I think people don't actually know how smart she was. The reason why these men were attracted to her, because these men could like get it with anybody, right? Was that she was so politically savvy. She spoke 7 languages.
That's
Like
amazing.
right, that's
I
what I'm
didn't know
saying.
that.
I know people don't like people all want to talk about how beautiful she was, and she was, but it wasn't just that she was beautiful. Like why she was so magnetic to all these different people was because of her intellect, and she was able to sit at the table with all of these like great, men and kings from all over the world, generals, and be at their level. So I think that would be really cool. You could say like you could change key stats to like fun facts.
I love that.
Um, I would love that.
That turned out really cool.
That was so easy.
So easy and like didn't take us very long to make something pretty amazing that shows what you know.
hmm
And it'd be so easy to even add more stuff if we wanted to and take more time
do you want to feel
diving
really old?
in.
Do you want to feel really old?
Always.
We are closer in time to Cleopatra than she was to the time that the pyramids were built.
That's really wild. That's really wild.
These are the kinds
Wow.
of facts that I like say at like parties. Probably why I don't get invited that many places.
That's why I would invite you.
Like,
I love it. And I also got a shout out in the chat. We've got a couple people who are sharing some cool things. So our friend Timothy Cosgrove says it's fun to experiment with all the different AI styles. Pop art is now added to his list of style choices.
yay,
We love
love
it.
that.
And then Alfredo shares that Adobe helps us teach with UDL, which is Universal Design for Learning principles, so we can teach to all students. We love it.
Amazing.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you guys for sharing that. Okay, we're going to move on because this is a pretty amazing poster that we've made, but we still have more stuff to start creating. Lauren, I'm going to get a little crazy here because I didn't tell you about this one before. Um,
Okay.
I'm going to jump into our educator resources. And I actually came on here yesterday and saw some that I hadn't seen yet or played with. So I did educator resources, social studies, and this is actually brand new guided activity that just like appeared in here and I didn't even notice that it was there, but it's so cool. So the whole idea of
I love
this,
the Industrial Revolution.
I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that sentence before. That's like hashtag brand new sentence, but I'm here for it. um, but this whole thing is you can kind of uh, take a piece of like a moment in history and generate a mock diary page. You have to share what perspective it's from. And I love the guided activities. Friends, if you don't know about these, they are pretty amazing. There is a video that will walk students through how to do it. And there are step-by-step written directions too. So it helps hit all of the different learning styles that we might have in our classroom.
Absolutely, because so many kids need to have the directions chunked or given to them, one at a time. Like, so this is obviously amazing. Wow, this is so exciting. Well, it probably wasn't that exciting being a factory worker during the Industrial Revolution, though.
That's fair. I don't
Yeah,
think I would have loved that.
no.
So, Lauren, who could we write about? We're going to change it up. We're going to not do the Industrial Revolution, but I'm going to let you
Oh,
pick our person.
um, from this time period or from any time period?
Anything you want. You're the boss.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Um, could we do Marie Antoinette?
Let's do it.
Okay.
So we're going to say French Revolution.
Since, I clearly a fan of baddie queens that were beheaded by
I love it. I love it. I wrote I wrote like my whole early college research paper. Like my very first real research paper was on Marie Antoinette.
Oh my gosh, I would love to read that if you still have it.
I I can't imagine that I do.
You should
It
well
was
if
a
you
hot minute ago.
if you could find it, I would read it, text it to me.
I love it.
And this is also kind of around the same time period as the American Revolution. The French Revolution was just 10 years later. We kind of gave them some ideas.
A little inspiration.
They were like, "Oh, you can get rid of a king you don't like? What?"
Okay. So Lauren, if you were gonna pretend that you are Marie Antoinette, well, first off, we need a date, actually. But then I'm gonna let you script her diary entry.
Okay, well, like I said, the French Revolution was about 10 years after ours started. I want to look up the day that she came to Versailles because I have to do the math here because she was only 14.
Oof.
Okay.
Big oof on that.
So let's just look that up real quick. The day that she arrived to Versailles, so I think, and she met her husband like that same time. So that was in 1770. So just right around the same time as like 3 years before the Boston Tea Party, she was 14. She had just arrived from Austria, which was a smaller, court compared to like the grandeur of like the big giant gold Versailles. So I would kind of write about like today I arrived at Versailles and met my future husband, and I am feeling so overwhelmed by all of the expectations and responsibility that has been placed upon me, period, something like that.
I love it.
Um I am hoping that I can become familiar with the customs of France and will have plenty of time to learn my royal duties before I can become the next queen.
I love it.
Period. And her husband was also kind of weird, so we can like I don't know how we would say that back then, but
You
he
know what?
was.
I
Yeah.
think we could.
Okay.
P.S. My future husband
Yep.
is all
Yeah.
caps weird.
Yeah. He was a little okay. I mean, like but he was also young too. Like he had never probably like talked to a girl. Like he was also like younger, and you probably know this because you wrote the whole paper. She did not have any time because the king, his grandfather, like died unexpectedly, and they, became the monarchs like when they were young teenagers or like early, like older teenagers. And that's kind of explains maybe why some of the decisions that they made were not the best. But people always want to hate on her, and some of it's kind of valid. But I also want to explain, like, she was a child bride, like she didn't really choose this lifestyle. Like, homegirl had some awesome parties, but that wasn't like what caused the French Revolution. That had been brewing for decades. But she was just kind of the scapegoat,
It's rough.
But the
So,
Oscar.
okay, we've done a lot of AI. I'm gonna get rid of the AI on this one. I think.
Okay.
Let's go back to how you were
Oh,
your original.
I love that you put one week. Oh, that's so cool.
Always have to bring out the French piece here. Okay. So, what kind of image would you think we would add here? We want to find.
For this, I mean, we could do like maybe a carriage because she arrived in a carriage. So we can maybe say like 1700s carriage in French countryside. Like this could be like what she was riding in her journey.
Or not so much. Maybe we'll just go with
like suitcase.
Ooh, a suitcase could be good. Maybe we.
Oh, they actually have Versailles.
They do.
Oh, well, like, yeah, that's literally it. Like, imagine
that's like
imagine pulling up to that.
Just casually, this crazy, beautiful place.
Yeah, his grandfather was the one who built it, but like they actually had a palace, like the Louvre, the Louvre in Paris where the Mona Lisa was. Like that's a pretty nice building, but like that wasn't good enough because this is France. So he had to make like the best palace that the world had ever seen, which is cool. But then like the people didn't have any food, and so then it was like quickly very not cool.
Yeah, but Versailles is so pretty.
I know. It is very pretty today.
So worth it.
They've never had a queen again. They never had a king or queen. Speaking like Cleopatra was the last queen of Egypt. This is the last queen of France. They never had a king or queen again, but Versailles still stands. It's a beautiful museum today. You can stay there.
You can stay there? I did not know that. I have been, but I didn't know you could stay there.
Yeah, you can stay like in one of the chateaus. Oh, this is so cute. You made it kind of like a scrapbook.
I'm a sucker for a good scrapbook. I'm going to be honest.
Oh my gosh.
I also noticed this cool thing that popped up recently where if you have an image like this, you can actually go into effects right up here. It's in the image panel. And now you can add a little drop shadow to make it like stand out.
And I saw that you took off the background too.
I did. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things because this is not a fun vibe.
Right.
But this is.
Right.
It is so again, cool. It's automagically takes it away. I love it.
I feel so in the moment. Like I just imagine her like standing there in that hallway with her little trunk, just like not even knowing everything that's about to happen.
It's probably good she didn't.
Crazy.
Okay. I want to make sure we have time to get to our last one, which we already talked about, but we didn't get to do yet. Our documentary trailer idea. So there are a lot of video templates that we could start with, but just to keep it super easy, I think I'm going to, again, I'm just going to do this. It says produce a historical music video. It's not like a music video, but we're going to mess this up a little bit and do our own style. So, Lauren, I don't know if you know. So I live in Oregon.
Okay.
And probably the most talked about historical moment in Oregon in growing up here was the Oregon Trail.
The Oregon Trail!
Westward expansion!
Millennials know the Oregon Trail from the game.
Oh man, that game, that was so good.
Man, I would give anything to go into the computer lab and hit up that Oregon Trail.
You know you can still get it.
Really?
You can like download it. I keep meaning to do it with my
I never actually completed it though, Shell. I always like died of dysentery on the way.
It's always dysentery.
It was a pretty perilous journey.
It's always dysentery. So I'm gonna start this off with the year is 1850. We're traveling back in time here, but I'm looking at this, and friends, if you have not tried editing videos in Adobe Express before, it actually looks very similar to what you might see if you were in one of the more robust editors, except it just is a lot more simplified. It makes it a lot easier to edit. So again, this is one of those guided activities that has all the instructions here if you need it. If you don't, which right now I do not, so I'm gonna click my little X to make it go away. If I wanted to bring it back, I just hit that light bulb and it comes right back for me. But I'm looking in here, and down here we call this piece the timeline, which is funny because we made an actual timeline earlier. But it lets us see all the different pieces, and I can click and drag this playhead to look at all the different things, but we have a lot to change here if we're gonna make it be about the Oregon Trail. So to start with, the video we have going on in the background is not it. This is a little futuristic for me. Lauren, would you agree?
Yeah, it doesn't look really very 1850.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to replace, and I'm going to go to videos because I still want there to be like some kind of movement. So maybe we can do like farmland. I don't know. We'll just go with some kind of vibe there. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of the music that it has right now too, because I want to pick our own music. That's more fun. Okay. That's not a bad start, actually. This is good. So I'm going to take this and make it a little bit shorter because we do not need like 15 seconds of farmland to start our video. All right. And you can always play it to see what you've got so far. Beautiful. And then as I drag my playhead to our next scene here, we are going to change this up because this is not, again, this is not helping us out with the story we're trying to tell. So I might say, like the settlers set off on a wild 2,000-mile adventure to build a new life out west. Yeah. What kind of image should we put in the background on this one? What do you think?
They have like a wagon or like a wheel.
Let's
or
see.
like maybe a horse.
Oh my gosh, they actually have.
That's literally it. Like that is what I had in my head.
Okay, let's see how this is. I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to like.
Oh, you can like adjust it.
You can, which is fun. It like kind of automatically made it
too small, too big.
Yeah, like not quite the right size, but we'll see how it looks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one. Now we're gonna move on. But I don't need this original template was all about like how like change over time, which is great. So if you're doing a project that includes that, that's perfect. We're not this time around. So I'm actually going to go to these three dots and copy this and bring it over here and get rid of that one. And then I'm just going to paste this one in so we have that same font. Lauren, you got a fun fact for us about westward expansion? No pressure.
There was also the California. You're from Oregon. I'm from California.
I love it. Let's
do it. There was also the California Trail.
Okay, what you got for us?
You know, like you might have heard the phrase like California, here we come. You know, like that kind of goes back to that. So a lot of the, settlers were coming. A lot of them were like farmers. This is like a little bit kind of like the gold rush era, right? So we could definitely, that's one of the standards I think in 4th or 5th grade. We could talk about the California settlers, how they came like for gold and like business opportunities and things like that.
Opportunities and land. That was a big one.
Yes.
For both, I believe. Was they just wanted people to move. Oh, and I'm seeing lots of good ideas in the chat. Alfredo says that his class made World War I movie trailers and had a viewing party with popcorn and licorice. I'm so here for that.
That
Amazing.
Would be cool.
That's a great idea. And also, if kids are using Adobe web pages to keep a digital portfolio, movie trailers can be a really great like centerpiece for your portfolio. I love that. Okay, so then we need another image here. Maybe we want.
Is there one like with gold? Like our miner, gold mine?
Gold mining?
Ooh, okay. Oh, there is.
This one's like.
That's perfect.
That's like legit.
The panning.
That's solid.
like
And again,
Sutter's Mill in 4K. There we go.
I love it. Okay. And
Eureka.
then, okay, I feel like we need to say something about the dangers of the trail.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, for some people it was kind of seen as this exciting adventure, but a lot of times it was, a very treacherous, dangerous journey. And then also there was a lot of conflict in the lands that they settled because there were oftentimes like Mexican people living there, Native American people living there, because, and this created, a lot of this conflict. Especially because the nation was expanding. It's ultimately going to end up in a civil war, which was 1864, so like 10 years after that. Um, like one of the biggest causes of the Civil War was westward expansion because it was like the question of what to do with all of this new territory. Are they going to be free states? Are they going to be slave states? Is this a part of Mexico? Is it a part of the USA? The Mexican American War is coming up. So yeah, all these people going in this direction, it created a lot of conflict for our relatively young nation.
That's a super good point, and I really appreciate you bringing that one up. And actually, I'm kind of not mad about this image that's already on there. Like, all
Yeah,
right, so we could keep going and adding more details to this, but I know we are getting close-ish to the end of our time, but I quickly wanted to choose some music to put in here. So maybe I'm gonna hit add audio, and maybe we want like dramatic film. I don't know. Something with some drama.
like a banjo.
Ooh, okay. Let's go with that. Let's do banjo.
I don't think they had like a synth player with them on on the Oregon Trail.
Okay, let's see. This one's called Giddy Up.
Yeah.
That's a bit much, but
I mean, that's like that one's kind of happier.
it's a little, yeah. I think I liked that first one
I
better.
did Old Country Loop.
Ooh, let's try
Old
it.
Country.
Okay.
I think that's it.
I feel like that's what I would hear at like a theme park. That's like got all the games and stuff and like the old mining town.
Like the Frontierland at Disneyland. Yeah,
Totally.
that's definitely like the Disney version of this for sure.
Okay, so let's see
Okay,
how
put it all
this
together.
looks. Here we go. Okay, this actually turned out pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And I am not very good at video editing, so um I'm amazed at how fast that was.
Super easy. It's just, click, replace, go. And then, the fun part is like students can come in and add all kinds of things they could do. They could record a voiceover, they could animate a character, which we've shown on here a few times. Lauren, I know you've seen this one before. Um,
Yes.
and then new, you can also hit record yourself. So I could actually add in a video
Oh,
of me talking and sharing more about what I've learned about the topic, which is another fun one, another fun way to
I
extend.
had never used that. That is very cool.
It is like brand new, like within the last month. So that would explain why you have no
Okay.
idea about this one.
Yeah,
It's
I
pretty
love
cool.
this.
So with all of this, man, we just did so much in a little under an hour. That was so fun.
What did we have? We did the timeline,
We did
the newspaper,
newspaper
the
and
poster,
yes,
and this video.
and this video, and then also the Marie Antoinette
And the Maria Antoinette
diary.
letter. We did 5 things.
We did 5 things.
That was what we were
Yay!
gonna do. Yes.
We wanted to do 5 things and we did it. I love it.
Yes.
Then this is all of these are such fun ways to engage all of our learners. You can hit translate and you can engage multilingual learners. You can get, your introverted students who maybe don't feel comfortable presenting out loud. There's all these different options for them. So much opportunity for them to, express their learning in so many different ways. That's like my personal favorite thing.
Yeah, and as a teacher, Shell, one thing I wanted to add is like most of us are going to have students that are like on a computer or a Chromebook. When they sign on for the first time to Adobe Express for Education, there is a single sign on, so they can sign in with Google, so they don't have to like create a password and like remember it and write it down. It auto saves. So like if you've never used this in the classroom, you can literally just have them go on it and sign in with Google and like they can get started right away. And it's also this education version, like you said, is if you have like that K-12 email, which all your students and yourself would, if you're signing in through Google, it's free for K-12. So you're not going to like have to repurchase software or anything like that. You're not gonna have to go to the computer lab. Like it's just here. They can have it on their Chromebook and they can have it at home. It's just a really great tool.
I love it. Lauren, I'm so glad you like it too. Like genuinely, it is really we love hearing teachers who enjoy using it and how they can use it in their classroom. Um, Friends in chat, thank you so much for being here with us today. We want to make sure that we want to invite you to join us with your students next week. We have our friend Martha Bongiorno from our Adobe for Education team. She's going to be joined by celebrated author Jarrett Lerner. They're going to be walking your class through a really awesome project talking about comics and exploring who you are and the message that you want to give to the world through creating some amazing comics. So we would love to have you join us in celebration of National Library Month. Next week, you can find more information and register at it is Adobe, so adobe.ly/Adobe Live EDU. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Lauren, thank you for hanging out with me and taking time out of your day to be with all of us. It's so fun creating with you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, this was a great time. Thank you so much, Shell. I'm so glad that I got to meet you in front of all of these people in the chat. And I'm so honored to be here. I love working with Adobe, and this has been so much fun. And as a teacher, I just love having this tool, and I'm so glad that we got to share it with people.
Me too. Thanks, Lauren, and thanks everybody. Have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.